Hello my dear students, how are you all? Doing fine? Taking rest? Studying? What? Both? Very good. Alright, so shall we begin with our continuation of tissues? Quick revision. I hope you are aware that we have started with animal tissues, right? And we are done with already we have done with epithelial tissues and we have begun with connective tissues. Okay, so last time what we did was we have studied about connective tissue proper. All right, today we will complete connective tissue. Okay, so ready with pen, book to note down the points? All right, let's quickly start. So if you remember last time we had done fibrous connective tissue, loose connective tissue, and now today we will do the skeletal connective tissue and fluid connective tissue. Okay, if you remember the classification that I had explained to you right in the beginning of the animal tissues video. All right, so we all are aware of what is bone. In fact, we have also studied about the bones in our earlier classes. We have studied about the skeletal system in our earlier classes. And what do you remember from then? That bones form a very important part of the protective structure of our body, right? It protects all the vital organs that are present in the body and definitely gives us a definite shape and structure, and also we are able to walk because of the bones, right? So it is the main supportive tissue present in the body, bone as well as the cartilage. So skeletal connective tissue is considered to be the main supportive tissue of the body. All right, now this year you just have a basic, very basic introduction about bones. You don't have to study the detailed structure of bone tissue. All right, so both for bone as well as cartilage we are just going to have a very brief introduction, because in 9th standard we are going to deal with it in details. All right, so this year we are just going to understand what are bones. Now bones are very hard, that all of you are aware. And why they are hard? Because there's deposition of a lot of calcium salts. In fact, phosphorus is also there, and collagen fibers, right? You remember collagen? Collagen is the biggest amount of proteins present in the body, very abundantly found in the body, and collagen fibers are inelastic. They are not at all elastic, but they are very firm. So bones are made up of calcium salts. Bones are made up of phosphorus salts also. There are a lot of there's a lot of deposition of calcium and phosphorus, and along with that collagen fibers. That is what makes them very hard. All right, bones are also living tissue because they are supplied by blood vessels and nerves. Wherever students there's a reference of the supply of blood vessels, that means that particular tissue requires oxygen, requires nutrients, requires the carbon dioxide to be taken back and the metabolic wastes to be taken back. So it means it's a proper living tissue. Okay, so blood vessels are there, and of course there are a lot of if you look at the structure of a real bone, you will see holes, all right, inside the bones. Now that holes are basically for entry exit of nerves, and believe me, a bone, if it gets hurt, it pains too much, all right, because they all are innervated by nerves. Now they provide the structural framework to the body and are responsible for protecting many delicate tissues and organs. All right, can you guess which organ does this particular structure protect? First of all, tell me, what is this structure? What this structure, the cage like appearance? Right, that's the rib cage. All right, the name itself will have the word cage, rib cage. The rib cage protects not one but two important vital organs. What are they? Right, that is heart and lungs. So heart is present in the ventral side, and just behind the heart there is lungs. So both these organs need protection, and hence rib cage protects that. This particular part, right, what is this? The upper part, that is the cranium. If I say skull, that means what it will be? The entire structure, the face and the cranium both forms the facial, or both forms the this particular structure will be your cranium and facial bones. Okay, so the skull is what? Both together, the cranium and the facial bones. Okay, so if you are asked who protects the brain, it will be always the cranium, because when you mention skull, it also involves the facial bones. All right, so this is how the bone is protecting the important organ and also providing a supportive internal framework to the body. All right, the next supportive tissue that you can see is cartilage. All right, please do not focus on the fine print. I don't know whether you are able to even read it. It's not required. This particular image is only for depiction where cartilage is present in our body. All right, now what is cartilage? Cartilage again is a supportive tissue. Okay, again both bone and cartilage will have a matrix that I had told you in the first video of connective tissue. This tissue, connective tissue, will always have the presence of matrix. In case of cartilage, the matrix is jelly-like, right? And where all it is present, it's present at the tip of the nose. Students, there's a difference. When I say tip of the nose, means only the tip, okay, not the nose bridge. This is the nose bridge, which is bony, but the bluish structure is your cartilage. Same with your earlobes. Your external pinna, earlobes, can be comfortably twisted and turned because it is made up of cartilage, right? Don't blame the teachers that they can easily catch hold of it, right? Okay, then cartilage is also present in the in your trachea to support the windpipe. So C-shaped cartilages are present, which supports the trachea. So here you can see the sound box, and below that you can see this is the cartilage. So entire structure it is made up of cartilage. We just now saw the rib cage, but the point of attachment of the ribs to the centerpiece, that is the manubrium. All right, the manubrium is what? The center, the thick centerpiece is the manubrium. To attach the ribs, we take the help of the cartilage. Then also this is one single vertebra where the attachment to the next adjacent vertebra is with the help of again cartilage. Okay, cartilage is present in all the joints of bone. Wherever there is a joint in the bone, there will be cartilage. It helps in, you know, kind of forming a cushion. All right, so cartilage is basically not supplied by blood. All right, and though we cannot call it as a dead tissue, because it will be supported by the other tissues that are present around. All right, so that nourishment and all will be obtained from the tissue fluid. But yes, there is no blood supply or even supply of nerves to the cartilage. Definitely not the blood supply. Then it absorbs stress and provides flexibility to the body parts. All right, so what happens is, whenever the what does it mean by absorbing stress? There's no stress as the word that you relate to. Stress means any mechanical injury that happens to the bones. The first impact is borne by the cartilage so that it absorbs those shock waves and then the bone is protected. Alright, so the movement of the bones is possible because of the cartilage that is present in all the joints. Is that clear? So the supportive tissue, the main supportive tissue of our body is one is bone and the second one is cartilage. Is that clear with everybody? Can we move on to the next type of connective tissue, and which is that? You remember from the classification of connective tissue? Right. It is the fluid connective tissue. The fluid connective tissue, as the name suggests, is obviously fluid. Okay, it is neither solid, it is neither semi-solid nor semi-solid, but it is fluid. And why it is fluid? Because it has to circulate throughout the body. All right, very, very important. It has to circulate. Why? Because it has to reach out to each and every nook and corner of the body tissue. It could be your fingertips, it could be your toe tips, it could be even the finest of capillaries inside your eyes, but it has to reach. All right, and so this is also the only tissue which keeps on moving. All right, why? Because it is the transport mechanism of the body. There is one more transport mechanism, though it is not a major one. Blood is the only fluid which takes part in the major transport mechanism. All right, and what does it transport? Right, oxygen from lungs to the entire body, right? Of course, via heart. It has to go via heart, and that we have already done once in circulatory system in lower classes. This year maybe we don't have to. Again, next year we will have to study in details about the circulatory system. All right, so from the lungs to all parts of the body via heart, oxygen goes. Again, via same route, carbon dioxide is brought back to the lungs. Who gets it? Blood. Nutrients from your intestines, from where it is absorbed to all parts of the body, the nutrients will reach. Then the metabolic wastes will reach your kidney from all parts of the body. Again, who gets it? It's the blood, right? Hormones, your chemical messengers, they are produced at some place, sent somewhere else, acting somewhere else. So again, hormones are only relying on the blood flow and blood supply, because they do not have any pipes, any vessels to supply hormones. All right, so all these things are moved, transported from one place to another only with the help of the fluid tissue, connective tissue, and that is blood. Is that clear? I have shown an image of the blood, which comprises of the water part, that is plasma, and the cellular part, that are the cells. You can see here those disc shaped red cells are nothing but your red colored cells are nothing but your red blood cells, and the blue ones are your white blood cells, and this yellowish structure, yellowish brown structure, are the platelets. All right, let us have a detailed look of how the cells appear. The blood consists of cells and plasma, right? The cells are of three types. Now I want you to note down these terms as well. In your textbook, they haven't mentioned erythrocytes, leukocytes or thrombocytes, but I do expect you to note it down, and that is why I have added here in my slide. All right, it is high time that you get introduced to these terms. Okay, so your textbook says red blood cells, but they are also called as erythrocytes. And what are they responsible for? Carrying oxygen to the tissues. All right, so it is the hemoglobin part of the red blood cells which actually take up all the oxygen and reach it out, or send it to each and every cell. And the characteristic red color of the cell is also because of that pigment hemoglobin. Then comes your white blood cells or leukocytes. Okay, now the white blood cells are main soldiers of the body. They help in fighting against diseases by destroying foreign bodies. In fact, as you go in higher classes, you will be surprised that all the white blood cells, now here this is your erythrocytes, all right. All this 5 basophils, eosinophils, neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, all these are type of leukocytes. Please ignore these names now. Don't worry, I will teach you again next year with the details of these names, but this year at least I want you to remember these 3 names. Okay, so in leukocytes, they divide amongst themselves which pathogen they will fight with. So some are specialized to fight with bacteria, some are specialized to fight with the protists, the protozoas. So all those unicellular parasites, the protozoans, are again handled by one type of leukocyte. So they have divided amongst themselves who will fight allergic reactions, who will fight bacteria, and of course, yes, we all are wondering who is going to fight the coronavirus, right? So they have demarcated all that work amongst themselves. Okay, so leukocytes are the major soldiers of the body. Always remember. So in any infection, if we do a blood test, the moment there is an increase in the number of leukocytes, then the doctors conclude that there is some infection, because whenever there is infection, the leukocytes will go in overdrive. They will be working overtime. They will start producing more and more soldiers. Okay, and that is how they help the pathogens to be eliminated. Thrombocytes are nothing but the platelets. You can see. Now, platelets are not cells by themselves. In fact, they are the broken parts of bigger cells. All right. Those bigger cells are called as megakaryocytes. Don't worry, you don't have to remember this name, and that is the reason why I have not included it here. But those megakaryocytes are big cells, and broken from them are the platelets. The platelets are also called as thrombocytes. Is that clear? Okay, so this is how the cells in the blood help to do the various roles of the blood. And of course, the plasma is nothing but your water part, which will have the vitamins, which will have proteins. And what proteins? They will have proteins which helps in clotting. Okay, so the thrombocytes are basically helping in the clotting of blood, but of course they cannot function without the clotting factors that are present in the plasma. All right, so the fluidity of the blood is basically due to the water part or the plasma, and in that we have the cells. Okay, so RBCs are the highest in number, followed by the thrombocytes, and the last or the least are the white blood cells, which are little bigger in size. Is that clear? The next tissue, that is your fluid connective tissue, is your lymph. Okay, I'm not sure whether you have heard about this term earlier or not. Well, it's nothing but a part of the blood. The plasma part oozes out, and along with it, it also takes some part of the leukocytes or the white blood cells. All right, though it will not take the proteins, that is the plasma proteins and the red blood cells, but only the water part and some nutrients, and the white blood cell oozes out. Now here, just to help you understand, this is very, very basic for you to understand. This is your heart. Okay, and from the heart, the arteries emerge out, supplies oxygenated blood to the entire body, right? And then from the entire body, the veins collect back the deoxygenated blood and come back to the heart, right? Understood this much? during this process, the plasma or the water part of the blood oozes out of the blood vessels. All right, and that what oozes out is nothing but the lymph. Okay, and there are nodes, collection of cells which are called as the lymph nodes, and the liquid, the lymph that oozes out, goes back to the heart through this system of lymphatic system. Okay, now these vessels are, these lymph vessels are connected to the lymph nodes, and the lymph nodes are, there are certain areas where I can give you some examples, such as your thymus, then tonsils, then lymph nodes are also present in your armpits. Okay, so these are there are almost about 100 of lymph nodes throughout the body. I've just given you a few examples, but they are actually spread across throughout the body. The prominent ones that I told you are the base of the neck, that is tonsil, so immediately it will flare up, if there's some infection. As I told you that leukocytes are responsible for fighting, and out of that, lymphocyte, one of the major white blood cell, is again a very, very important soldier. All right, so it is this lymphocyte along with the fluid will help fight the infection. Okay, so for this year you just need to understand that it is what you need to know about lymph is, it's a colorless fluid. Basically it oozes out of the blood vessels itself, and along with it will take out the lymphocytes. Okay, it transports the nutrients back to the heart, so that what happens when the water oozes out of the blood vessels, the nutrients also might come out, and they should not be lost in the body. So the lymphatic system basically collects it back and sends it back to the heart. All right, so it is flowing only in one direction. See, blood flows in both directions, one down and one up, from heart to the entire body and from the entire body back to the heart. But lymph will only travel in one direction. Can you see? It only goes back to the heart. All right, then it protects us from infections. As I mentioned, lymphocyte is one of the major soldier of our body, and the lymph nodes produce this lymphocytes as well. The network of vessels within which the lymph flows is called the lymphatic system. Okay, so this is all that you need to understand about the lymph. Is that clear? I hope you have understood. Bone, cartilage, that is the supportive tissue, connective tissue, and blood and lymph is your fluid connective tissue. With that, we come to an end of connective tissue. In my next video, I'll be explaining you about the muscular tissue. Is that clear, students? I hope you have understood it well, and I try to put all the points that are present in your textbook in my slides, so that even if you don't have the textbook, please don't feel lost. You can read up these points, and that is what is there in your textbook as well. Is that clear? Take good care of yourself. Bye.